Hello, my name is Henry Emphrey. In this tutorial, I will show you how to make a character from scratch using a program called Fragmotion. Now, long ago, I made a tutorial about how to make a character in an online program called Autodesk Character Generator and how to rig, set up, and animate that character in another online program called Mixamo. But this time I will be making my character from scratch only using this program. And after learning what you learned in this program, you might not just make characters with this program. You might take what you learned and expand on what you learned here, and take what you learned and make towns and whatever. And hopefully this tutorial will get you in that direction. Now, when using this program, the windows that we generally use are this skeletons window, this models window, this tools window, and this animation window. If you open this program and you don't see this window or any of these windows or any window that you need, just go to this Windows tab here, click on the window that is missing, and click Show. And now you can see that our animation window is back. So now I'm just going to make a generic robot just to give you an idea about how this program works. So first I'm going to make the body. I'm going to go to this Tools tab. I'm going to left click on cylinder, go to the window, left click on and hold it down until I size my body. Then after I got it to the size I want, I'm going to let go of the left mouse button and pull up and click the left mouse button again when I get the size that I want. Okay, so now we're going to do it again. We're going to make the arm. Click on box, go to the window, left click inside the window, size the box, then let go of the left mouse button, pull up, and then click on the left mouse button again after I got the size that I want. Now for the right arm, left leg, and right leg, you can do those same steps again that I just showed you. Or since our box is the size that we want it, you can just duplicate them. So all you gotta do is go to this, click on the box that we just made in this Models tab, click on Edit, and click Duplicate. So now we got our right arm. Now you can't see the second box we just made. So in order to move the second box, I click on this Duplicate, because that's the second box we just made. I go over to this Tools tab, scroll down to where it says Transform. I click on Moving, and then I go down to this Moving Tools tab. I'm going to be moving this box towards this X-axis. So I lock the Y and lock the Z, and then pull the second box over. We're going to do the same thing for our two legs. So I'm just going to repeat the process. So I click on the second box, duplicate mesh. So here's our third box, and here goes our left leg. So now I'm going to move the two legs that I just duplicated. So I'm going to move this left leg down the x-axis, and then I'm going to lock the x-axis to also move the leg down the z-axis. So I unlock the z-axis. So now move it down. Okay, great. So now, and then I'm gonna take the second box, click on the other box we duplicated, and I'm gonna move it down the z-axis too. Z is unlocked. Pull that down. So now we got all four boxes. That's not just good, that's good. Okay, so now last thing we're going to do is make the head. So go back to Create 3D and click on Sphere. Once again, I go to the window, left click on and then hold it down until I get the size I want, and then let go. So now I'm going to rename these. I'm going to left click on cylinder and double click it to highlight it down here, and then I'm going to right click and rename that body. Once again, I'm gonna double click the box to highlight it, and then right click it, and I'm gonna rename that left arm. Double click, right click, it's the right arm. So now we're going to move these body parts into position, and we're just going to start with the head. So remember how we moved our blocks? We're just going to repeat the process that we did earlier. So we go to transform, moving, the head is already highlighted, and we're going to move along the z-axis. So the z-axis is already unlocked, so we just move the head like so. And then we're going to move the head up the y-axis like so. And then we're going to move the head towards the body along the x-axis. And then I just even it out a little bit. Like I said, I right click, hit the right mouse button, and then to rotate the screen. And then I use the mouse wheel to scroll up a little bit. I press down the middle mouse button to pan, and then I just move unlock the X, unlock the Y, lock, and then just pull it down. Then we just move it over a little bit to make it look normal. Okay, so that's our head. Good. It won't be perfect because I'm just showing you this, how this works, but I think you get the picture. So now you all know how to make your shapes, rename them, and move your shapes around. So to make this video shorter, I'm just going to turn this off and move all the shapes into places so that they can be in the style of the robot. So I'll be back. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to merge the head and body together. And the way that you merge meshes together is you click on one of the meshes that you're going to merge, hold down Control, click on the other one, and make sure they're both turn red. Then you click on Face, click on Assign to Group, give it a name. And I'm going to name it Body and Head. Then click on New, and so now both the body and head are just one new mesh together. And now you can just delete the head because we no longer need the head anymore. So watch. Next time when I click on head and body, you'll see both meshes light up, and that means they're connected. And furthermore, I'm just gonna, whenever you move these meshes, I got the y-axis locked. When you move the meshes, you see that they move together. So that's how you can tell that you have merged your meshes together. Okay, so next we're going to deal with bones. You deal with bones in the same way that you would deal with any other mesh. First, you go to this Tools tab, go down to Create 3D, find the word bone, click it, and then you just double click it to where you want the bone, and then there you go. And there's the bone is. It's that simple. And then I'm going to rename my bone. Right click, name, then I'm just going to call this body. Okay, so next I'm going to move the bone. You go down to bone, click on move object, and then you have this move object tools. Okay, the Y is already unlocked, so I'm just going to move the bone up the same way you do any other mesh. So next I'm going to create another bone. I'm going to create a left shoulder bone. So I click on body, click on new, click on bone again. Then now we got a new bone. And I'm going to rename this left shoulder. Okay, next, and we're going to move this bone to the in the X direction. So I'm going to lock Y, unlock X, and move this next bone to the shoulder. Okay, so next I'm going to make the left arm bone. So I'm going to start with my left shoulder bone. Right click, new, bone, bone. Okay, so the right arm bone is there. You can't see it, but it's there. First I'm going to rename it. Left arm. Okay. And then I'm going to move it down. Unlock the Y. Move it down. Okay, so that's my left arm bone. Good. So now I'm going to click on body, and we're going to deal with the right arm. Bone, bone. Okay, so now the right arm is there. No, right shoulder. Right shoulder. This is the right shoulder bone. Sorry. Okay, so it's there. We'll move it along the x-axis. Okay. Okay, so that's the right shoulder bone. Next, the right arm bone. Bone. Okay. Okay, rename it. Right arm. Okay. I'm going to unlock the Y and move down the arm bone. Great. Okay, so now I'm going to make the stomach bone. Okay, rename it stomach. And I hope that you're seeing the pattern of what I'm doing whenever I'm starting a new section. I first start with the body and then do left shoulder and left arm. I start the body and do the right shoulder, right arm. I start with the body and then do the stomach. So I hope you're seeing that pattern. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my stomach bone down. Lock the Y, bring down the stomach. There we go. Okay, so now we have our upper body. Now from here, I'm going to start using my stomach as the catalyst. From here, I start using my stomach bone and do the left side. And then start with the stomach bone again and do the right side. So I think from here you all understand how to put in the bones and how to move them, etc. So to make this tutorial shorter, I'm just going to go ahead and stop the camera and I'll pick up from the other side. Okay, I'm back. I start with the stomach and made the left butt and then the left leg. And then I start with the stomach again. Made the right butt and right leg. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is make sure that the bones align with the body. So I'm going to hold down the right mouse button so I can rotate the screen. And then I'm going to scroll back using the mouse wheel. Then I'm going to hold down the mouse wheel to pan it. And then I'm going to scroll up using the mouse wheel again. So as you can see, the bones are outside of the body. And we don't want that. So to fix this, I'm going to click on body because body is the master bone of all these bones. And then I'm just going to use the body bone to move everything along the z-axis. Okay, so now that looks okay. Now, so I'm just going to use the right mouse button to turn back around. And as you can see, this arm bone, this shoulder bone is not in the middle of this mesh here. So I just need to move this shoulder bone over a little bit and let's see, unlock the X and just move it over. So the next thing that we have to do is connect the bones to the body parts. And before I get started, I'm just gonna put the leg, all the parts together. You know, I personally like to have the left body parts together and the right body parts together, and the other body parts together too. And anything outside of the left and right body parts, I put them together too, like body and head. Okay, so anyway, that's just my preference. So the first thing we're gonna do So we're going to start the left arm. That's highlighted red. And we're going to do the left shoulder. And when you try to attach the bone to the corresponding part, make sure that the bone is green all the way to the end or almost to the end of the mesh that you're trying to connect the bone to. Otherwise, when you try to animate it, it might act kind of weird. Okay, so the left arm bone is connected to the shoulder bone. And then to connect them to bone, assign selected vertices to bone. Click that. And then we pull this weight bar all the way down to 1 and click set. And then when you see all these vertices turn red, that means that your bone is connected to the mesh that you're trying to connect it to. And that's it. Okay, so that's the way I do it, but sometimes you can just scroll in and you can connect your bones and everything by vertices. For example, let's say I want to connect part of this this arm to this body. Well, the way I would do that is I would click on select vertex, and then I will hold down the control key and then select the individual vertices that you want to connect. And then I would do that, and all you gotta do is just go to bone, assign selected vertices to bone, and put the weight down to 1 and click the set button. And you can do it that way. Another thing that you can do is connect some of the meshes together. For example, I can create this torus here. Let's just create a torus. And then I can go to the torus. Let's just look at the torus right quick. And then I can go to the select vertex, hold down the left mouse button and select the vertices that I want to keep, then delete the rest and make a whole nother shape that I will want. And then furthermore, select the torus and hold down the control key, and then maybe select the left arm, and then click face, click assign to group, give this new section a name. I just call it torus and left arm. And then I can create a whole nother mesh this way. And like I said, I can delete the torus because now I have another mesh. And you can see that they're connected because when I double click them, they're both highlighted. And so that's another way that you can make things in Fragmotion, and you can use your creativity, and the sky's the limit with that. So now we're going to do the right arm. Okay, the right arm is already selected. Now we got to select the right shoulder bone. Okay, so the right shoulder bone is selected. We repeat the process. We go to bone, assign selected vertices to bone, click that, bring the weight all the way down to 1, click set, and there you have it. Okay, so from here I think you all understand how to connect the meshes to bones. I try to connect the meshes to bones using the list instead of vertices, because sometimes going the vertices route can be kind of messy, and you might end up with vertices that you don't want. And again, when you try to animate your character using the bones, you might get some kind of weird looking animation that you don't want. So when I'm doing it this way, I just go by the two lists, the group list and the skeleton list, because it's also easier. Unless you want to do something a little bit more complex, like what I just talked about, then you go to vertices route. But this is the way I do it. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and turn the camera off and connect all these bones and meshes together, and we'll move on to the next thing since I've already covered this. Okay, so all of my bones are connected now. So the next step is animation. So when we're dealing with animation, we go to this animation window here. Like I said, make sure if it's not showing up, just go to the Windows tab, click on Animation Pane, and click Show Animation if it's not showing. So we're going to work with our first animation. The first animation that we're going to do is walking. So you right click on New, and click on Animation. And then when you get this new animation tab, I'm just going to rename it Walking. Okay, so now we're going to work with the walking animation. So we select walking, and then you go to Windows and get out your keyframe editor, and then go to Windows again, and you go to keyframe sliders. Okay, so these are the two tools that we need to do animations. So when dealing with animations, make sure that your walking is selected, or whatever animation you're going to deal with. And then I'm going to go ahead and rotate this so we can get a side view of our character. And then I'm just going to rotate this down so that you can see the leg here. The way that we do animations is we manipulate the bone. And the two bones that we're going to work with here is the left butt bone and this right butt bone here. In other words, we're no longer going to be dealing with this panel down here to manipulate our bones. We manipulate our bones with this keyframe editor here. Let's try to put our left bone into place. And the way that you manipulate the bones is with this keyframe sliders here. Okay, so let's start with the left butt bone. And as you can see, when I move this slider here, it moves the bone to the place where I want it. And we're going to do the same thing with the right butt. Again, these are the only two bones that we're working with. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the right butt. Okay, so good. So both legs are in place. So the first thing that I do is press on this fourth button, which is a key with some red blocks in it. Click this one here, and just press OK, because that would be our starting frame. So now we're going to work with the next section. So first I'm going to move the left butt down a little bit, and do the same thing to the right butt. And then I'm going to click on frame 5. That's our second section. Okay, so we're going to move down some more. We'll move the right butt straight and the left butt straight. And like I said, these are not perfect. I'm just trying to show you, how this stuff works, and then you can go off and expand on it. Okay, so that's the third section, and that'll be. So from now, okay. So at this point, let me just show you what it looks like so far. You're gonna notice that when both legs come down, they don't go past this straight-looking point here. So just watch closely. Started. Let's see. Okay, so watch closely. Okay, so when it gets to frame 10, watch again. It doesn't go past. Let's see. Let's just go to frame 10. It doesn't go past the straight position here. Even though we click on frame 5 and then frame 10 and later frame 15, etc. I usually like to call them sections. I like to refer to them as section 1, section 2, section 3, because I just think that it sounds easier to follow along. So if I say section 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frame, you'll know that I mean frame 1, frame 5, frame 10, frame 15, etc. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so now we're going to go back the other way. I'm just going to expand this, and we're just going to try to do maybe 40 frames. We'll see. Now, instead of just doing it manually like I was doing it, you can also copy and paste. Like, I'm going to copy frame 15, hit the copy button, and then hit the paste, and then paste frame 15 up here, and it'll just mirror going back the other way. And I'm going to do the same thing with 10. Copy, paste it, put that for 30. And then 5, copy, paste, 35, and copy, paste number 1, and that'd be frame 40. Okay, so now let's see how this works. Start from the beginning. See? And it works perfectly. So, and that's how you do your animations. You could do it either way. That was great. And that's not just good. That's good. So we're finished with our walking animation, and you can do the same process with other animations. For example, let me just show you briefly. We go back to our animation panel. We're finished with walking, so now we let's say we're going to do shooting. Let's see, rename it. You just rename it so you can know what you're doing, and then you just you can double click on it. And shooting is going to have its own keyframe editor and frames and everything, and it's going to have nothing to do with the walking animation. So you're just going to be starting from scratch with the shooting animation, with this new animation. And same thing with all your animations. You're going to be starting over from scratch, putting in its own keyframes. It's going to have its own keyframe editor, etc. And so you can take what you learn and hopefully expand on what I've taught you, and hopefully this will get you towards making the kind of games that you want to make. Yeah, Fragmotion to me is a very good program. It's not Blender, but I don't care. So until next time, thanks.